Hello, hello. Can everybody hear me? I'm here. I'm slightly late. So the story is I have been making pancakes and drinking coffee, talking about adventures with a fairly random person that I actually picked up yesterday beside the road, which is a thing that I do. If you're kind of friendly and you're on an adventure, then I may pick you up beside the road because you never know who you're going to meet, and it can turn into great adventures. So anyway, I was riding up the mountain last night. So anyway, here in northern Thailand, obviously heading out of Chiang Mai, I was riding up the mountain last night, and I came across a guy at the 7-Eleven with his motorbike, and he was looking for a bag that he'd lost off the back of the bike the day before. So we went through, to see where it had fallen off the bike because he had some video footage. And I was like, that looks kind of familiar. And so sure enough, rode together back up to the spot where I thought it might have fallen off, and we found it. So it had been run over by a truck, so it wasn't entirely a completely happy story. But I said, listen, mate, at least you got closure. So that's what we were doing. And then, of course, it was freezing cold because I don't know if you've heard, but it gets cold in Thailand. It gets really cold. By really cold, I'm talking like 8 degrees centigrade. For me, like you can see, I'm wearing my winter woolies here. This is the jumper that my friend, he's a yacht captain, he gave it to me because I was so cold the other day. And I get it out every time the temperature drops below 10 degrees. And so it was so cold last night. I said to old mate, once we found his bag, which had been run over by a truck, I said, well, why don't you not keep riding to Pai? Because riding to Pai was going to be like another hour and a half. And I said, you're going to freeze. Old mate's riding in his flip-flops. And yeah, I hated to see it. So I said, why don't you, go and wrap yourself up in some blankets up in the guest house and have a good sleep. So he did. He obviously wasn't scared of being kidnapped by this strange random woman he met beside the road, and he survived the night, and it's all good. So yeah, we were off having coffee and pancakes and talking about his next plan, which is to sail a boat around the world. So yeah, you meet cool people beside the road. 5 stars, highly recommend it. Now, where did I get to? So it has been about 7 months since I last gave an update. And in the last 7 months, what have I been doing? I went and I rode a motorbike across Mongolia, which was pretty cool. Highly recommend. Also 5 stars. But that was in summer. So that was August. And KTM 450 riding across the steppes. It was extraordinary. So the thing is, Mongolia is not always what you expect. I mean, Mongolia has deserts, obviously. It's got the Gobi Desert. Everybody knows about that. But then you've also got the rolling hills and the grassy steppes. And then up near Russia, you have these forests. They're like these birch forests with these clear streams running through them, and like swamps and just more forest. And I swear, I think I saw a palace cat. So life achievement unlocked. We had some adventures. We had some problems. I might have had a small fight in a dark alley with a couple of shady Mongolian dudes. It's all good. I won the fight. And I'll tell you all about that later. For now, I have some photos. Let's go and look at some photos. I can have a look. There we go. Let's check out some photos. See, that's Mongolia. So that is exactly where I was able to take a shower in Mongolia. So in about 10 days, we showered about twice. And by shower, I mean we had to throw ourselves in this lake which was full of shrimp. And these shrimp, these freshwater shrimp in this freshwater lake, this is up near Russia, by the way. This was super, super cold. So this lake was full of shrimp, and these shrimp, they bite you. So you would jump in the water because we were filthy. We'd been riding dirt bikes for like 7 days. You'd jump in the water and you'd be like trying to wash yourself down and get the grime off, and these shrimp would just be attacking you like little tiny piranhas. So it was quite the experience. I'm not sure whether it might have had some kind of quality like the fish in Thailand. You have the fish spas where the fish go and eat all the dead skin off your feet. It might have been like that, but it sort of felt more like being eaten alive. So yeah, that was showering in Mongolia. And so, yeah, and then this is the steppes of Mongolia. As you can see, it's just this beautiful, wide open landscape. So you don't even need a road. I mean, there are tracks all across this landscape, but you don't need it. You can just take a bearing, decide approximately where you want to go, and go there. Big skies. This was the food in Mongolia, which was generally, there was a sheep, now there is not a sheep. This is dinner, this is breakfast, this is lunch. But it was very beautiful, and particularly nice if you don't really enjoy eating salad. So anyway, that was Mongolia. But apart from that, life has been pretty good. So my home base in Chiang Mai, this is the hotel in Chiang Mai. So as you can see, it's a pretty good looking little spot. So I've been doing my paperwork there beside the pool. I've been dreaming up new dirt bike parts for KLX230 and CRF300s, CRF300L and Rally. I made new sets of crash bars and skid plates for the CRF300 Rally to protect the lower fairings. And yeah, and apart from that, as you can see, been working hard and hardly working. It's been a busy end to the year, and so I've been taking some time off over Christmas. And what you can see me doing here in my strange hoodie is I'm actually picking the coffee on the mountainsides here. So we have coffee gardens all the way up the mountain, and the coffee's ripe at the moment. And usually I don't get to pick my own coffee because usually we're out running tours at this time of year. But this time I was like, we were riding really flat out for October, November, December. There was one period where I think I rode 20, 21 days in a row, and I was tired. So I decided, let's take a break. So I'm taking a little bit of a break. And as you can see, this involves me running around the hills picking coffee beans. And I am going through this process of processing my own coffee, which is incredibly labor intensive. So what you do is you end up having to remove the bean from the coffee cherry, and then you ferment them, and then you have to dry them, and then you have to manually remove the parchment from the coffee bean, and then that's before you get to the point where you can roast it. And then, hopefully I can make it taste somewhat decent. This is what we're aiming for. And this is where I've been hanging out. So if you were wondering what I've been up to, this is basically it. So been out taking a rest, and by that I also mean riding my dirt bike up in these mountains, which are sort of between Chiang Mai and the Burmese border. And as you can see, we have poinsettias, which are those brilliant red flowers just growing in the hills here. It's exquisitely beautiful. And what else have I been doing? I've been fitting out KLX230 for new customers. This was a very nice project bike of mine. I was fitting it out for one of my customers he had a CRF250L, and we'd been dirt biking with him many times before, but he was really starting to come around to the idea that the 250 is just so heavy. And so what I did is I got him a 2022 KLX230, so new stock off the showroom floor, but obviously an older year model. Got a really good discount on it, and then used that money to completely kit it out with all of the HiVolt Spares aftermarket Farkles. And so this photo, I was taking it just the other day because I was looking at the exhaust. So the full system titanium exhaust. Now, I took this photo because I wanted to show people the positioning of the O2 sensor. So sometimes people write to me and they say, listen, I bought your titanium exhaust and the O2 sensor is not in the same place as it is on the OEM exhaust. And that's because our exhausts are a different shape. They've got the expansion chamber and they're like completely a different shape than the OEM exhaust. And so you simply cannot put the oxygen sensor in the same place. So before you panic that it doesn't fit, here is a photo to show you exactly how it does fit. It is quite close there to the frame, but it does fit. Take my word for it. Anyway, I want to introduce you to someone. Come on and be interviewed, Jake. Grab a chair, pull up a seat. Come and join in. There's a chair opposite me. There you go. You'll be right. All right. Come on in, bro. Come and grab a seat. Yeah. So old mate was saying, how's the coffee? Well, I hope the coffee's going to be delicious. Let's adjust that. I don't know. You might have to lean to the other side or something. Can you see? Yeah, we can see. All right, guys, this is Jake. And Jake has the best beard you ever saw. And so, yeah, I found him lost beside the 7-Eleven looking for his bag last night. And he apparently has no fear. So when I was like, follow me in the dark into the mountains of Thailand, he was like, yeah, no problem. And so were you terrified, Jake?
No, I was a good person to follow. Obviously, a guide. So.
Well, that's true. That's true. I did guide you all the way back to your bag. Did you get back the things you were looking for?
I missed the bag. The bag dropped off of my bike on the way back to Pai after riding 7 hours for the day and didn't realize it until I got back to Pai. And I had a Insta360 camera on the back. And so I went through all my footage and actually saw the bag like fall out on the road. And I was trying to identify where it was and couldn't find it. And then I just randomly stopped at 7-Eleven to get a chocolate shake. And
as you do,
Grace pulled up and I was riding in sandals and she had like nice, proper motorcycle gear. And I was like, oh, it looks like your shoes are a little bit better than mine.
It's true, but my shoes squeak a lot more than yours.
Yes.
You were remarking on that. So I have the City Adventures, the Gore-Tex, and they never stop squeaking. So I've had these boots for, I think, about 4 years now. I've had them restitched several times. Great boots. They will never stop squeaking until the day they cease to exist.
So I was zooming in on my camera trying to find where it was, and Grace looked at the picture and she's like, oh, that's right where I live. She's like, follow me.
There you go.
So followed her back to some friends of hers. We asked a bunch of different people. Obviously, I don't speak much Thai. Nitnoi Thai.
Nitnoi? Okay, that's all right. It's the beginning.
So I had my translator and guide, and we ended up, one of her friends ended up leaving and finding my bag, or what was left of my bag, and it had fallen off in the middle of the road, so it got trampled by cars. But there are a couple things in there, and it was a fun adventure to actually be able to find it and meet new friends and see a new area of Thailand. So
yeah,
loved it.
Yeah, actually, it was kind of cool because where it fell off was like almost exactly in front of one of the dirt bike mechanics up here in Parpay. And yeah, so I just went down there and they kind of know who I am. They've put my bike back together a few times when I like rip out my brake line in the hills or something like that. You know, and yeah, I said to the young boy who was there, I said, oh, you know, have you seen a bag like this? And he's like, 10 minutes. So he gets on his dirt bike and he rides off into the village. And sure enough, 10 minutes later, he comes back and here's the bag. It's been run over by a truck. It's completely fucked up. But it was there, you know. So I said, oh, at least we got closure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, anyway, so Jake has not only got an extraordinary beard, he also has extraordinary hobbies. So I was like, Jake, what are you going to do? What's happening next? And he was like, oh, I don't know. I might just like sail a boat around the world. And I was like, tell me more about that. Have you ever sailed a boat partially around the world? Or is this going to be a new undertaking?
In Lake Michigan and freshwater. Did a little bit of boat delivery, which is where the beard started growing during COVID. And was hired to sail a boat from Miami down through the Caribbean to the British Virgin Islands. So I was like, oh, I wonder if I could dreadlock the beard and look like a pirate for the trip. And then I was going to cut it off when I got there. And we never made it there because the transmission went out in the boat. So we had to turn around, sail it back. And so this is going to keep growing until I sail through the Caribbean. So it might be down to my feet by then. But
very impressive.
So it's a good trip.
So tell me about you're sailing along where you're going down to the Caribbean and your transmission goes out. So I mean, I presume you're on a yacht of some kind, so you can sail it even if the transmission's not working, or what do you do?
36-foot sailboat.
Yep.
And so we could sail it back, but we were going against the wind the whole trip. So and through different areas that you kind of need a motor during some of it. So
okay,
we didn't feel like risking it going the whole month-and-a-half trip without a motor. So we went back and we pulled the motor out, tried to source a new one and couldn't find one. Ended up the boat's still in Miami.
Right. Okay. So you got a fair way then. So you're where did you start? Where did you start from?
Miami.
So you started from Miami and heading down to the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that sounds like an adventure. I mean, most adventures don't really go the way you expect them to, right?
Right.
And was it stressful?
I mean, aspects of it were stressful, but when you're living in a boat, everything is kind of pretty chill and laid back. And so we just kind of went with the flow and figured it out. So kind of like this adventure. And
yeah,
I was looking for people who were dirt bikers and who traveled Thailand. And I obviously ran into the right person because I'm soon going to, wanted to like go down the whole eastern side of Thailand down to Malaysia and then sell my bike and fly back to the US, but running out of time. So might just go straight down there next week.
Well, you can always make a new plan and come back next time, right?
Mm-hmm. And possibly go on some trips with you as my guide.
Absolutely. We'll put you in some. We'll get you some boots instead of flip flops, and take you out in the mountains, and we'll get lost up somewhere near the Burmese border.
These won't work for trail riding.
I mean, they will. I mean, these are like A1, Thai style riding footwear. But last night, like I said, it was cold. It was about what I reckon it would have gone down to about 8 degrees overnight. And old mate here, I don't know how he could feel his toes at the end. I felt so sorry for him. I went and bought him some socks. We had dinner and I was like, stay here, I'm getting you some socks. And the old lady next door sold me some socks with some kind of a, fashionable insignia on it. I don't know, it was like a rooster or something. So now old mate's got like rooster socks and life is good.
Warm toes.
Yeah.
My toes were grown in Wisconsin now, so close to the Canadian border, so they're used to the cold.
Well, that's what I was saying. I was like thinking that you must be much more resilient than those of us acclimatized to Thailand.
Now I was focused on my mission of finding the bag.
Yeah.
Cold feet doesn't matter.
There you go. Well, that's right. And I mean, what were you going to do anyway, apart from buy socks from the old lady around the corner?
Exactly.
That's it. I mean, everything's an adventure, and every misadventure can actually be a lot of fun as long as you approach it the right way. So yeah. No.
Sometimes that's when the best times happen, is when you have some misfortune and then all of a sudden some blessing comes into your life.
Absolutely.
I was graced with grace.
You were. It's funny when you say like a blessing comes into your life. There was one time I was in Indonesia and I was like camping on this beach, and I got severe food poisoning. It was not okay. It was just not okay. And I was just like dying on this beach. And anyway, this beach was called Blessing Beach. And the people who lived there came out and rescued me from my misery, and took me home and looked after me and nursed me back to health. And they turned out to be, you know how sometimes you meet people and they sort of turn out to be like almost better than friends, like they almost like family. That's sort of that village, that family who took me in. They've stayed in my life like that. So yeah, food poisoning, really graphic, 0 stars, don't recommend. But getting stranded on Blessing Beach, 100% 5 stars every time. So yeah, that's basically what I've been up to. Where else did we get to? We had some more photos happening in my collection of randomness. So that's right. We were looking at the exhaust. Pretty nice exhaust. I like it a lot. Titanium. Super light, this titanium exhaust. It's about half the weight of the stock exhaust for the KLX230, and obviously unrestricted, so you get a lot more power, and your power to weight ratio is very much improved.
So that's what you're putting on my bike today?
Yeah. You want one of these? I can make you one. Do you want the KLX230 for mainly off-road, or do you want a CRF300 for like more dual sport if you want to do the highway as well? Yeah. Well, you're not like a tiny human being. You're like reasonably tall and strong, so it won't matter that the CRF is a little bit heavier. So yeah, so we'll set you up a CRF. So CRF300, 151,900 baht for a brand new one in Thailand. And then I can like kit it out for you. Can do like titanium full system. I just spent some time reflashing some ECUs. There we go, bro. All right, no worries. We'll deliver next week. But yeah, we can make them into really capable dirt bikes. And I've got some nice sparkly bits. This is me the other day. I'm actually not lying on the ground. It looks like I'm lying on the ground, but actually the side of the hill is so steep that it just looks like I'm lying on the ground. So that was my New Year's Day ride. I thought I was going to end up sleeping in the mountain, but I didn't. And I wanted to show you this, like speaking of Farkle. So this is obviously KLX Farkle, not CRF300 Farkle. But the aluminium tank, 9-liter aluminium tank. So you get a couple more liters than you do for the stock tank, and it's lighter than the stock tank. And as you can see, it looks pretty fierce. So this is a KLX230R. So this is the fully dirt bike variation of the KLX. But this tank will work on any version of the KLX, like the dual sport versions as well, which as long as they don't have ABS, because this tank won't work with ABS because the ABS module, it gets in the way. So yeah, as long as you don't have ABS, you too can run this fierce looking aluminium tank on your KLX 230, get a couple of extra liters of fuel and lose some weight. Now, actually, when I was setting up that KLX 230 for my customer, I think we probably took at least, we would have taken 10 kilos off that bike into all the stuff we pulled off it. And so you can really make a big difference if you do a bit of aftermarket work on these bikes. But yeah, so this is another thing that I've been up to. This bike's from Bulgaria. So old mate Svetlan, he rode it all the way from Bulgaria. I think his Instagram handle is Bulgarian on a bike. And yeah, he rode from Bulgaria to my hotel in Chiang Mai, and he wanted a new clutch, which is not surprising since he rode all the way from Bulgaria on the original clutch. So yeah, we got our hands dirty, set him up with a new clutch, set him up with a new luggage rack, and a few other bits like some aftermarket levers. And he said, I should have done this some time ago. And yeah, so we actually had quite a few international travelers in the house yesterday. So we've got this couple, Chris and Tim from Australia. So they've ridden up from Queensland in Australia. And there's Svetan with his Bulgarian number plate as well. All rocking some nice Moscow Moto gear. I think increasingly we're seeing that Moscow Moto is it is like the number one choice for quality if you're going to ride, halfway around the world. You want your stuff to last, and so I think Moscow Moto is the way to go. So yeah, now this is a different project. This is a brand new CRF300 Rally, which we're fitting out for some new customers as well. So we've got Paul and Marnia coming over from Australia, and they asked me to buy them a couple of bikes and fit them out. So that's exactly what we're doing. So we're fitting them out with so Paul and Manya are not going to do a lot of off-road stuff. So I'm not doing the full hardcore revamp. So I'm not, doing the full system exhaust. I'm not going to reflash the ECU, not going to put the velocity stack on or anything like that, because it's not going to make such a big difference for them. They're not going to be riding really hard, and they're not going to be riding really hard off-road. So what I am going to do, though, is I'm going to change out those handlebars. So the handlebars are going to be Renthal Twin Wall 996, which is my sort of go-to for these bikes. I've never managed to bend a set of these handlebars in my life, and that's impressive because I'm not very gentle on my bikes. So what we're looking at with these bikes is, I said, well, we want to set them up with enough protection that, if you do drop them, like riding across Laos, or they fall over in the car park or something, you're not going to have anything broken. You're not going to have any problems. You're just going to pick your bike up and be like, oh, well, it's a dirt bike. So we're replacing the bars. We're putting on the aftermarket levers. We've got the wraparound handguards, which are HiVolt. And on the Rally, we're putting on the HiVolt crash bars and skid plate. So those crash bars are going to protect the lower fairings as well, which is the most vulnerable part of the Rally. So we're doing that. We've got some lowered foot pegs for Paul. So the foot pegs are about 1 inch down and 1 inch back. So they make for a slightly more relaxed ride position, which he was keen to achieve. We've got the rear luggage rack, and just some basic upgrades to make it a little bit more rideable. We've got, and a little bit lighter as well. We've got the tail tidy as well, so that we don't end up dropping the number plate in the forest and all that good stuff. And we're back to Svetan here. Svetan apparently, so it says Bulgarian on a bike. Apparently he did some acting, and so he's very photogenic. He's very, very good in front of the camera. So every time we took a photo of Svetan, he was looking pretty good. So, I mean, I think I need to do some take some lessons off him for looking photogenic next to motorbikes. This is something else that I've been doing. I've been running around the forest teaching women how to ride dirt bikes. Makes me extremely happy. So I think in November, December, I think I taught six 6 women to ride dirt bikes who'd never ridden a dirt bike before, never ridden a bike with a clutch before. And we absolutely killed it. You know, I'm going to say that myself. I'm going to say it completely without embarrassment. We killed it. Like, these women, they're brave, you know, like they're doing something that's outside their comfort zone. And it was so cool to be able to set them up in an environment where they're safe and comfortable and get them out there absolutely having an immensely awesome time on dirt bikes and just being like, this is the best. This is the best thing ever. And I'm like, I know, right? And yeah, like this is the kind of, this gives me goosebumps. You know, when I see, you get someone from the point where they're like, they don't know what a clutch is. They've never, like, some of these ladies had never even driven a manual car before. So, you know, you've got to explain how gears work. And starting from that point to going to the point where we're riding single track together, and they're like, this is amazing. I just am absolutely stoked. It's an absolute privilege to get to be the person who like shepherds them through this new experience. So if you're a lady who wants to ride dirt bikes and you don't know how to do it, call me. I will teach you. It will be amazing. Alrighty, I'm going to wrap it up there. It's been fun. As you can see, I am still alive. Now, next time I'm going to talk about my plans for Indonesia. I'm going to go to Indonesia. I'm going to buy some bikes in Indonesia. I have not completely settled on which bikes they will be. So we're going to talk about that more later. But for now, I've talked enough. And yeah, here's your proof of life. So hope everyone's doing great. And I'll catch you later. There we go.